A little over a year ago, my worst nightmare came true. In just a few months, I lost my job, my partner walked out, and I had to sell my house. I'd officially hit rock bottom. I felt like I had lost every single thing that made me me. It's like falling into a dark pit you just can't crawl out of, where the hopelessness is so thick you can't breathe. But what if the worst thing that could possibly happen to you was actually the beginning of your real life? This is the story of how I rebuilt my life from the ashes, and how I found a strength I had no idea I was hiding.
You know that old saying, the best thing about hitting rock bottom is there's nowhere to go but up? It's a nice thought, but when you're actually there, it doesn't feel like a launch pad. It feels like the end of the world. For me, rock bottom wasn't just a string of bad luck. It was a total loss of identity. Who was I without my career, without my relationship, without the home I'd poured my soul into? The fear that comes with that kind of loss is intense. It's part of our survival instinct, sure, but when it's triggered by huge life changes, it can completely take over, leaving you feeling helpless and stuck. My days just became a blur of anxiety. Waking up wasn't a fresh start, it was a punch in the gut, a reminder of everything I'd lost. That hollow feeling, like you're a ghost haunting your own life, that's the signature of hitting your lowest point. I spent months just like that, numb and barely existing. I was waiting for something to change, for someone to throw me a rope. But the hard truth I had to learn is that nobody can pull you out of that tailspin but you. The turning point wasn't some big movie-style moment. It was a quiet morning, sitting in my tiny rented room when one thought cut through all the noise. I can't live like this anymore. It wasn't a moment of hope, it was a moment of pure exhaustion. And right there in that surrender, the first step up began. I was just done. Enough was enough.
The very first thing I had to do was stop running from how much it all hurt. For months, I'd been trying to numb it, ignore it, and pretend I was fine. But grief doesn't just pack up and leave. You have to walk through it to get to the other side. So I finally gave myself permission to feel all of it. The anger, the deep sadness, the shame. It's so important to let yourself feel whatever comes up without judging it. This is a huge part of the process. Psychologists call it self-compassion, and it's not about throwing a pity party. It's about being kind to yourself and accepting your own emotions. I started a really simple journaling practice. Every morning, I just spill it all onto the page, no matter how ugly it was. I'm furious. I feel like a total failure. I'm scared of what's next. Getting the fear out of my head and onto the page created some distance. It wasn't a swirling storm of panic inside me anymore. It was something I could actually look at. This helped me see the story I was telling myself about what happened, my fear narrative. And once I could see that story, I realized maybe, just maybe, I could change the ending. This is the foundation of rebuilding anything. You can't fix cracks you refuse to look at.
When your whole life is crumbled, the idea of rebuilding it feels completely overwhelming. It's paralyzing. So I didn't try to rebuild my life. I just tried to win the next 5 minutes. The secret to getting unstuck is breaking down these giant, terrifying challenges into tiny, achievable goals. It's how you start to get a sense of control back. My first tiny victory was making my bed. That's it. It was one small act of order in a world of pure chaos. Then I added a 10-minute walk every single day. I did not feel like it. My body felt like it was made of lead, but I did it anyway. And that walk became my non-negotiable. It didn't solve my problems, but for 10 minutes, I was literally and metaphorically moving forward. These small, consistent actions started to build evidence. I was proving to myself that I could still do things, that I could keep a promise to myself. Confidence isn't something you just find. It's built, brick by brick, on a stack of evidence that you can count on yourself. A made bed, a 10-minute walk, one healthy meal, one job application. Each action, no matter how small, was another brick in a new foundation. It's how you take your power back, one tiny victory at a time.
As I started to feel a little more stable, I knew the real work was internal. My outer world had fallen apart, but my inner world was where the real damage was done. And just like a house, it needed a full renovation. This is where I started actively working to change my thought patterns, which is a key idea in therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. First, I started a gratitude practice. I know, it sounds cliche, but it actually works. Every night, I write down 3 things I was grateful for. At first, it was tough. Some days, all I could come up with was a warm cup of coffee or the sun was out. But over time, it started rewiring my brain to scan my day for positives instead of just stewing in the negatives. It shifted my focus from what I'd lost to what I still had. The second tool was learning how to manage how my body reacted to fear. When anxiety would spike, my heart would pound and my thoughts would spiral. I learned a simple breathing exercise. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, and exhale for 6. This simple trick calms your nervous system and yanks you back into the present moment. It's like telling your body, hey, you're safe right now. For so long, the story I told myself was, I lost everything. It was a story where I was the victim, and it kept me completely trapped. The biggest shift in my entire journey came when I realized I could actually rewrite that story. It's a powerful idea from narrative therapy, which is all about helping people become the author of their own life story, focusing on strength instead of victimhood. I started asking myself a different question. What did I gain? It sounded like a ridiculous question at first, but the more I sat with it, answers started to show up. I gained resilience. I gained the deep understanding of my own strength. I found out who my real friends were. I was stripped of everything that wasn't authentically me, and for the first time, I had to figure out who I was at my very core. Slowly, my story started to change. I lost everything became I was liberated from a life that wasn't really mine. That job I lost, it was burning me out. The relationship that ended, it had been holding me back. The house I sold was full of memories, but it was also a huge source of stress. This is the phoenix rising from the ashes. You don't pretend the fire never happened. You acknowledge the fire. You honor the parts of you that burned away, and then you use the heat to forge something new, something stronger. You stop being the character the story is happening to, and you become the author of what happens next. You turn your pain into your purpose.
This journey never really ends. Rebuilding isn't something you do once. It's a daily practice. But I'm not afraid of falling anymore, because now I know I have the strength to get back up. If any of this resonated with you, and you're on your own journey of rebuilding, I hope you'll subscribe for more content about finding your strength. And I'd be so grateful if you shared this with someone who might need to hear this message today. The most powerful part of this whole thing is knowing you're not alone. So please, share a piece of your story in the comments. Let's build a community of support right here, together.
The truth is, your greatest fear coming true really can feel like an ending. And in a lot of ways, it is. It's the end of the life you knew. But it is also, and this is the most important part, a beginning. It's an invitation to build a life that's more authentic, more resilient, and more aligned with who you were always meant to be. The journey out of the ashes isn't easy, but it is so possible. It starts with one small step, one tiny victory, one reframed thought. You don't have to have it all figured out.
You just have to be willing to start. And if I can do it, trust me, you can too. Don't be afraid to start over. This time, you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience.